Some unbelievable transfer news on a Friday. Two huge pickups for two power programs. Zack Ryder, a 184-pounder for Penn State, transfers to Oklahoma State, and Dean Peterson, a 25-pounder from Rutgers, headed to Iowa. I'm going to get into both decisions, the impact on both teams with those departures, starting with Zack Ryder. This was a pretty dramatic week around the Penn State program with the transfer portal. You had Rocco Welsh, who made it known last week, hey, I want to transfer, and it came out pretty quickly. I don't just want to transfer. I want to go to Penn State. That's where I want to go. And so Rocco Welsh eventually commits to wrestle at Penn State. There was maybe a little bit of a recruiting battle, but it seems like he had his mind made up from the word go. He really valued the partners at Penn State. The training environment there is certainly second to none at this point. And Rocco Welsh wanted to be a part of that, so he transferred in. Now, the issue here is Rocco Welsh is a 184-pounder, as is Zack Ryder. Zack Ryder, I think, felt a little bit hurt by the whole situation that maybe he wasn't brought in, or maybe that they went after Rocco Welsh. Don't know the exact specifications, but one thing is certain: Zack Ryder was not happy about the Rocco Welsh situation and hit the portal pretty soon after Rocco Welsh's commitment. Now, there is a little bit of, when you look at Penn State, the best program in college sports right now, you have seen some good wrestlers leave there in the past, right? But it's a Terrell Bearclaw who is really good. Very obviously, the guy was an All-American this year, but he wasn't going to beat out Mitchell Messenbrink. Similarly, Alex Facundo, he's not going to beat out Tyler Kasak, Mitchell Messenbrink. So he leaves. But with Zack Ryder, it's a little bit different. I don't think this departure is being viewed the same way it was when those previous wrestlers left, because Zack Ryder is a bona fide blue chip stud. This is a two-time age-level world medalist. He medaled at U17 Worlds in 2023 and then followed it up, making the world team again at U20, and as a first-year U20 wrestler, won silver medal. That's a huge, huge accomplishment. And to go along with the fact that Zack Ryder had a great redshirt year, and it looked like there was going to be a seamless transition of power from Zack Ryder, or from Karstarachi to Zack Ryder. This guy goes in, he wins the Southern Scuffle. He beats a number of national qualifiers and All-Americans along the way. He beat TJ Stewart, who placed last year. He beat D'Anthony Parker, a guy that pinned Gabe Arnold this year. So Zack Ryder was looking really, really good. And I think both internally and externally, the Rocco Welsh for Zack Ryder roster battle was not a certainty. It wasn't obvious that Rocco Welsh was going to come in and take that spot. It wasn't certain that Ryder was going to be on the bench. You just didn't know. I was fascinated to find out who it would be. But before we can find out who would win that roster battle, Zack Ryder enters the portal, goes to Oklahoma State. Now, what's the impact for Oklahoma State? Well, you add another very, very talented wrestler to a crew that has a lot of high school accolades, some college accolades, but just a lot of talent in the Oklahoma State room. Now, it's once again not a seamless fit for Zack Ryder at this weight class because they have Braden Thompson. Braden redshirted this year after being a national qualifier at 174 last year. He was a big recruit. This is a guy wrestled and won at Who's Number One. He's the real deal, Braden Thompson. But it feels like he may be in a very serious roster battle and in real danger of losing his starting job to Zack Ryder, who just had a better year on paper, right? So it'll be an interesting roster battle there, as they redshirted last year because they had Dean Hamady and Dustin Plott at 74-84. So Braden got a year to train, but is he ready to hold off Zack Ryder, who has a lot of momentum in his own wrestling? And so it'll be interesting to see the ripple effect of Rocco goes to Penn State, Ryder leaves Penn State, and now you got Braden Thompson. I don't know what he's going to do. Is he going to stay in battle? Is he going to enter the transfer portal? In this day and age, it doesn't take but one thing for a guy to enter the portal and then they could be gone. And the portal doesn't close until early May, I believe. So still a lot of time for Braden to make a decision. But Zack Ryder, a huge pickup for Oklahoma State. This guy has 4 years of eligibility. He looks to be a guy that's going to join a very talented group of 84-pounders that has Max McAnally, Angelo Ferrari, among others. It's going to be a very exciting year at 184. And I think Zack Ryder is poised to have a huge impact for Oklahoma State. And the fit, why did he choose Oklahoma State? Well, obviously, as Coach Taylor said, there's a lot of momentum around Oklahoma State. They have a lot of momentum in recruiting. But more than anything, there's familiarity there. Zack Ryder spent his senior year in-state college, training at the M2 training center that David Taylor ran up until him getting the Oklahoma State job. So those two know each other. He understands the system at Penn State, which is, you got to assume there's a lot of commonality there with what they're doing at Oklahoma State. So a good fit for Zack Ryder at Oklahoma State, and a huge pickup for Coach Taylor, who is seemingly getting a big pickup, once a month now. Now let's go out east. Dean Peterson transferring from Rutgers to Iowa. And I think there's some commonality with both of these transfers. I think there's just a little bit of hurt feelings on the part of the transferring wrestlers. For Zack, it was obviously bringing in Rocco Welsh. And for Dean Peterson, it goes down to his match against Steve O'Poulin at the NCAA tournament, where there was a controversial exchange. Dean wanted the brick. They didn't use the brick. Dean winds up losing the match, and he made it sort of clear he was not happy about that decision from the Rutgers staff. And maybe it was a culmination of things, but either way, he enters the transfer portal, and the Iowa Hawkeyes pick up a stud at 125, and a real need of weight for them at 125, a weight where they scored 0 points at the NCAA tournament. Now, I said, a week or two ago, hey, Iowa's going to have a super busy offseason in the portal just because of who they do and don't have coming back to their lineup. And they've been very busy and very successful so far. Jordan Williams and Nasir Bailey transferring in at 149 for Williams, 141 we think for Nasir Bailey, 2 need weights. And now they add Dean Peterson, who had some huge wins this year. He beat Luke Lillidahl, who is one of the names to beat, one of the guys you got to beat. If you want to win a national title, it's probably going through Luke Lillidahl or Vincent Robinson, who is the reigning national champion from NC State. And he's beaten Luke Lillidahl. And he's also beaten Richard Figueroa, last year's national champion. So the pedigree and the ability of guys he's able to beat, it's really, really high. And the training environment and Iowa's track record with lightweights, it's exemplary. They've done such a great job with those lighter weights, and you feel like Dean Peterson's going to fit like a glove there, training with Drake Ayala, the Brands brothers. Spencer Lee is there. You got Nasir Bailey, who's a great training partner as well. So a lot of talent in the lower weights for the Iowa Hawkeyes. A great pickup for them. Dean only has 1 year left. So that also has great synergy for Iowa, who is bringing in Leo DeLuca. Now this allows Leo, he's not going to be thrust into the lineup right away. Not that I think Iowa would do that, even if they didn't have Dean. But now he gets a year. He can redshirt, mature, and be ready to rock the following season for the Iowa Hawkeyes. So, man, so much excitement, so much news, and the landscape shifts every week seemingly within college wrestling. And there's more changes to come, more transfers to be announced. The AJ Ferrari, sounds like that decision's coming soon. It's probably not hard at this point to figure out where he's going to go, but I'm not going to report until they're ready to make that announcement on their own. So big news coming on the transfer portal. Who knows who's going to go on to enter the transfer portal, but I want to know from you, what do you think the impact of Dean Peterson to Iowa is going to be? What do you see Zack Ryder doing at 184 for Oklahoma State? How do these transfers impact those respective teams?